let's get ready. So I do want to see if there's some improvement. I'm not ready to say, oh, man, they're going to look that bad, because that's a comedy of errors that I just cannot see. Come on, as bad as some of these seasons have been, they haven't looked like that. I mean, they haven't fumbled to snap on the first one and then been offsides on the second one and then missed the pass on the third one. You know what I mean? Like, that's a level of bad that even the bad Browns teams haven't necessarily reached over the last few years. So I'm going to say...
Which isn't terribly encouraging.
No, but I'm going to say...
This is the worst they've ever looked in the preseason, and those really, really bad teams that we've seen, they didn't hit this. They didn't look this bad.
Well, that's what I'm
saying.
So,
yeah, I mean, there's a way... I get what you're saying, but there's a way you can look at that. Here's another way to look at that, too. If you remember a year ago, right now, Brandon Whedon was tearing it up in the preseason. Great. We were very excited about what we were seeing from him in those first few preseason games. So... If you take that as sort of a comparison point compared to what we've seen really the first 2 weeks, I don't think either quarterback has looked good either of the first 2 weeks. And you think, my goodness, if there's any kind of a drop-off the way that Whedon had a drop-off last year between the preseason and the regular season, my God, look out below. It's going to get really ugly really fast.
Yeah, that's why I want to see. I'm holding off a lot of deciding and judging and talking about. I want to next week. Let's see what happens here with this game. I want to see with an actual quarterback decided with getting. You know what? Let's see. If it doesn't make a difference, then man, all right, we got some stuff to talk about next week. But let's see. Defensively, I'm just telling you. I said this already before the preseason, and I like the little bit that we've seen from the starters. I think this has easily got the makeup of being one of the best defenses since the team came back. I think we're seeing that there's going to be some issues, but man, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to force some turnovers. They're going to hit some people. They're going to be more stout against the run, and I think they're going to be better in the back end with pass coverage as well. So I think that I definitely like what we've seen out of the defense. Well, it's going to have to be. The defense is going to have to carry this team no matter what the expectations are. The defense has got to be great. And I think we saw that last year. We saw that for the first maybe 6 weeks. We saw a defense that really was among the top ranked in the NFL. I think we went into October and they were number 1, number 2 in yards allowed and yards per play and all of that. And I agree with your optimism. I think there is totally reason for optimism with that defense, just based on what we've heard and now what we've seen in the first couple of games. There is some spark for optimism there. The problem is that I really fear that we're going to end up seeing what we saw last year is a fairly talented defense that just got completely worn down by its own offense. You saw a defense that had some talent, that had some potential and had a little spark in its step, and the Browns offense just could not put anything together and put so much pressure on the defense, just like in baseball. When you ask too much of your bullpen for too long, it's going to wear down, it's going to break down, it's going to start to lose games because it was asked to do too much and asked to carry the team for too long. So I can totally see that happening because I just cannot see this offense being anywhere above, 26th, 27th ranked in the NFL. I mean, it's going to be that bad, this offense, regardless of who plays quarterback, because we're going to see 2 or 3 different guys playing quarterback, starting a quarterback this year, and that's not going to make a difference. But it's really going to burden this defense, and it's going to be a question of how long can the defense endure and persevere and try to prop this team up while the offense scuffles. I hear you. That's the key with the defense is can you keep off the field enough to stay that strong? And
it's going to be about turnovers, honestly. I mean, this is really going to be the lifeblood of this team. If there's going to be any kind of success, it's going to be not only the defense's ability to get off the field and get the opposing offense off the field, but to get turnovers. That is going to be the only thing. There's going to be a saving grace to this. It's going to save both this defense and this offense. It's going to be the ball hawking ability of the defense. They're going to have some takeaways. They're going to have to do something to equalize things because they're going in against the stacked deck.
No, I agree with you, and I'm going to hold off any bigger judgment on the offense and some of these other things until after this weekend. But you know what? I've got Doug Plagens coming on in a few minutes to preview the ArenaBowl. I want to ask you before I let you go, let's switch over to the Indians real quick. I mean, they've warmed up. Obviously, yesterday you take 2 out of 3, and then you lose the Kluber game. You got me on that one.
Right,
but, I mean, what do you say at that point? But they are getting hot, hitting the soft part of the schedule at the same time. This weekend, big. I've been talking to some people. You cannot look past Houston. Somebody told me that they are, I think, the third best team in the West since the All-Star break. So they've definitely been better. And so you don't want to go, hey, we need to sweep these guys, and you screw around and lose 2 out of 3 to a team like this at home. You've got to I think you got to sweep it, but you have to at least win this series.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is that, first of all, you're right. It's not the team. This is not the Houston team that the Indians mopped the floor with last September. If you remember that was kind of a key series down the stretch.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The Indians just mowed them down and got 3 quick wins that they needed to in the pennant drive there. So this is a much better team than that. A team that is playing better of late as well. But the thing that you're fearful of is one, you're going into a series. And Kluber's not going to pitch. I mean, he just pitched yesterday, so he's not pitching at all. And as we've seen, when he is not pitching, this Indians team, even since the break, even in August here, when they played a little bit better, they still are very vulnerable when Corey Kluber is not on the mound. So you've got 3 games against a team that, they probably are better than, but their ace is not going. And they're, I hate to say it, but they're due for another losing streak. This is how this team has gone. They win 3, they lose 3. They win 4, they lose 4. So here we go again. They just won, they won the first 2 against Minnesota and did a nice job last weekend and played well against Baltimore, played well against the Yankees. And they're due. I mean, I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong, but they are due for one of their little dips. And again, with Kluber not there, the makings or the fixins are there for a downturn. But I mean, the flip side of that is, if the Indians can win 2 out of 3, if they can sweep, maybe they can kick themselves out of that little trend and say, hey, we were due for a loss. We've righted the ship. We've steadied things. We can avoid this kind of, up and down, erratic nonsense that we've seen to this point. So maybe this can be sort of a turning point. What's really interesting, though, is after this weekend, they go to Chicago. And if there's been an Achilles heel for the Indians this season, it has been the White Sox. For as much as they dominated them last year, they've really struggled with Chicago this year. So that's going to be a huge series, especially now that they're in a 3-way race, if you want to call it that, in the division, and you've got some new faces in that wild card race as well. So this weekend is obviously important, but next week you have Chicago and then Kansas City and Detroit right after that. So this is this is the backstretch. This is big time for the Indians.
And we're going to find out if they're ready to step up. And we mentioned yesterday, I want to see Kluber in this situation, because this is kind of the one untested part of him. But let's get through this weekend in Chicago, and then comes the next couple of key series. My man, JK, I'm up against it. I appreciate having you with us again next week. Hey, we'll kind of have a little bit of clearer maybe visual of the Browns offense and how things are not progressing there. And again, we'll be on the verge of the tribe here heading into Detroit and Kansas City. So we're going to have a ton to talk about, and the Kevin Love trade will be in the book. So I was just going to say, the real good news is we might have official word. We might be able to actually officially talk about Kevin Love by next week. So maybe by the end of the day, who knows? Yeah. So some big things swirling. Yeah. You got it, my man. JK, enjoy the weekend. All the sports going on, and next Friday we are going to have a ton to talk about. You bet, man. Looking forward to it. You got it. He's my man, the sports writer extraordinaire. You can check him out on Twitter at JKnightWriter. We're going to take a break, get you the news, come right back. Doug Plagens, he's got a quick window to give us. We're coming back with the Gladiators ArenaBowl preview. Doug Plagens coming up next on The Fix. I said I want to try myself with you.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get them away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix. It's an addiction. The Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history?
He won it! Milo hit a three-pointer on the side!
In-depth personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
The X-rays indicate it's only a sprain, and that means a huge sigh of relief for the Eagles. Running back LaShawn McCoy, who led the NFL in rushing last season, did have to leave last night's 31-21 preseason win over Pittsburgh after only 4 carries. Le'Veon Bell ran for 23 yards. For the Steelers, less than 24 hours after he and teammate LeGarrette Blount were arrested for misdemeanor marijuana possession.
Sorry to be a distraction to the team, but I'm only going to answer football questions right now. I'm just only answering questions about football, about the game.
Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said after the game Bell and Blount will be dealt with appropriately. ESPN's Mark Stein is reporting that the Minnesota Timberwolves are expected to acquire Thaddeus Young from the 76ers and Andrew Wiggins, the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, when they complete a 3-team trade, which will send All-Star forward Kevin Love to Cleveland. Twins general manager Terry Ryan says that if he returns next season, he expects manager Ron Gardenhire to be back for a 13th season. Ryan is recovering from cancer surgery. Second round of the Barclays Championship in Paramus, New Jersey. The leaders at 6 under par, Kevin Chappell through 10, Brendan Todd through 7. It's the first event in the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Labor Day is just around the corner, so hurry in for great deals at Lowe's. Pick up 3 bags of Preen mulch for $12. Lowe's, never stop improving. Valid August 20th through August 25th while supplies last. U.S. only. Excludes Hawaii and Alaska.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live here on the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you as we roll on. Thanks again to my man, the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight. And I definitely would have loved to have hung a little bit longer, but windows are tight. My man, Doug Plagens, made some room for us. So, JK, thank you again. He's with us every Friday. Cannot wait next week. There's going to be a ton to talk about, but there's a ton to talk about now this weekend. All the stuff we've already mentioned, kind of the set the stage. Gladiators, ArenaBowl, baby. It's going down. A lot to talk about. And of course, when we're talking Glads, that means we're talking to Doug Plagens, my man. So let's go to the phones now. We're going to talk to him. Here he is on the show, Doug Plagens, voice of the Gladiators and the Lake Erie Monsters. My man, how you doing?
Doing great. We're coming to you live here from Media Day at Quick and Loans Arena, site of ArenaBowl 27, which will be played tomorrow night at 8.
That's it, man. It's on. It's all come down to this 17-1, the biggest season for the Gladiators so far, and it adds, whether you're a Arena League fan, a Gladiators fan, or just a Cleveland fan, it adds not only a big event, a big sports event, and a big ticket event here to downtown Cleveland, hosting the ArenaBowl against kind of the flagship, kind of at least in the last few years, the typical or atypical, the top AFL franchise in Arizona. It all comes down to Cleveland with the Indians, Browns. Everybody's downtown. It's going to be a huge throng of people. Are things officially sold out yet, or are there still a few tickets remaining for tomorrow?
They are going very quickly. You want to act on that as soon as possible if you want to be a part of a huge, just general night of sports in downtown Cleveland as the Gladiators go for their first arena football championship. ArenaBowl 27 tomorrow night, 8 o'clock at the Q. And again, tickets are going very quickly, so head over to clevelandgladiators.com and get those as soon as you possibly can.
And you know what? A big week. You said Media Day today, but leading up to it, several different Gladiators nominated and honored for their various contributions this season. The biggest, of course, starting at the top with Coach Tunn being named the Net 10 Wireless Coach of the Year. And talk to me a bit about that. I know you had a chance to talk to him after that. A huge honor there and a fitting with the season that they've had.
Well, for him, I think first you can't help but be happy for him. He's been involved in arena football really since the sport started and he's been a head coach in the Arena Football League for 10 years, and his team set records this season, 17 regular season wins. Nobody else has ever done that. And just look at the turnaround from last season, 4 wins to 17 wins. I mean, that's one of the biggest turnarounds in the history of pro sports, I'd have to think. So just that right there speaks for itself, and the way these guys have gone out and won games, doing it a variety of different ways, never panicking. I mean, they look like a team that really learned